This is Common Ground, the podcast.
I'm Mark Gorman.
And I'm Lewis. And welcome back. Happy holidays. At least that was past tense. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year,
And it's about time, man. 2024 is upon us. And we are so excited as a brand, as Common Ground. We've been having so many meetings between myself, Mark, Drew, Shrey, Derek, and we have so much to come in 2024. So we're really looking forward to that.
Absolutely. I think kind of as a group, Common Ground has some New Year's resolutions that we set forward that we want to meet.
Oh, yeah.
We're definitely gearing up to get some great episodes out there, but we don't want to let you sit back at home and wait, right? So we want to make sure we're continuing to produce content that we think is going to be entertaining. And, you know, we mentioned New Year's resolutions, and we want to talk about being fathers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our personal New Year's resolutions. So let me just start off. Do you do New Year's resolutions?
So, how can I say this? I do and don't. It's more so now I find myself where I can get lazy in my resolutions and just in general of trying to do something. So what I try to do is before the next year, I'm like, you know what? These are the goals that I want to achieve, and you have to like start gearing yourself up now so that once the new year is here, then it's going to be consistent. And for me right now, it's definitely taking better care of myself, physically, wanting to actually, be in good shape, because I'm that guy that I've been blessed with people assume that I'm in great shape. And I'm like, nah, you got jokes. But I want to be able to see what others see in me. So I really want to take it more serious on top of everything else, man. Just the podcast, really gearing up with that, taking better strides of just doing things with the kiddos,
Right.
For me, since we talked about resolutions and everything, for me, I'm always working, always busy. So, I miss a lot of those, lunches at the school or little, situations where they like to enjoy things at the school and stuff. So I want to take more time of like, hey, you know what? Let's spend time together at the school and have lunch or just whatever those activities are so that they can have better memories too.
Yeah, I don't do New Year's resolutions.
All that to say, I don't do them, man.
No. I think they're a great concept, honestly, and I used to. The problem is with New Year's resolutions, in my opinion, is that we put so much emphasis on we need to start doing it at this time of the year, and this is a new start, and it doesn't work for everybody, right? And I think you got to find your own kind of your own kind of path. And trust me, this time around, for probably the first time in a couple of years, where I've kind of felt like, you know what? Maybe I kind of do need to just, maybe not even be a New Year's resolution, just a new start, and say there's some things that I've noticed being a father that I need to get better at, right?
That's good. That's good.
And I think being just approaching it as, even if I'm not looking at myself, I'm looking at my outer self with how I deal with my kids. And I think being that father that I want my kids to go marry when they get older enough.
That is good, man. And honestly, it's funny you say that. I have, 2 girls and a boy, and so many times I come across those videos and shorts like we all do of like, what fathers do with their kids, that you want them to, have a man in their life that kind of, not idolizes you or looks like you, but just, it shows off what you did as a father.
Yeah.
And you're right. There's so many days where for me, I have the tendency where I like to say I reboot myself. What that means is we all go through work, all the things of the day, all the qualms of the day, and I try to, before I even walk into the door, I try to reboot myself mentally to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be, a strong backbone for my wife, because I know she had a long day. I'm going to, just whatever my kids need, I'm going to be that dad and just, be very excited about anything and everything. And then just based on the day, as soon as you walk in, and all of a sudden you go from to like, oh, go do this, do your room.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah,
I told you to do this thing 500
kaboom.
times.
Yeah.
But and you're right. And I think part of that New Year's resolution, and I'm just use that word loosely because, so just to go back a little bit, I've always I was raised Catholic and practice Catholic, so I always do the 40 days the Lent, like I always give something up. So
That's good.
And that's kind of a good reset too. But then I started thinking recently, like, well, it's not about just giving stuff up either. It's doing more. So I think I'm going to combine my New Year's and my religious aspect of it, and just trying to be that father. And like you said, being that over the top, letting your bad days wash away in front of your kids. And I wanted to show a video because it kind of made me think more about that.
Okay.
And then I'll show the video and then we can kind of elaborate on that.
Heck yeah.
And here we go. So the dad comes home. I guess the kids are trying to prank him.
Yeah.
He realized what's going on, so the parents, the wife's like, "Hey, just go back outside. Let me let the kids know."
Okay.
Guys, Bob's here. He's gonna open the door. Hi. Yeah, we should
Oh, 3 boys too, man. Wow.
So it's that simple, like, it's that simple being a dad, and like, it might not mean much to us, and it might even be an irritant, right? You come home and you just want to get in the door, and
Yeah.
but that memory that those kids will have from that pranking their dad, and I'm sure they do it more than once.
Of course.
It's going to mean so much to them, right?
Yeah.
It might not mean much to me and you, but in the moment, those kids take it and they run with it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Literally, for me yesterday, had to change the battery out of one of the vehicles that we have, and the wife was like, "Hey, why don't you take your son? Why don't you take him with you? To just go do some stuff, spend some father son time." And you're right, man. Just the little things too, because it went from us going to check on the battery to like going to go get ice cream and hanging out, and just playing in the playground at McDonald's. But like the interaction, and I could tell too, like he was so happy with just me being around, and like kind of goofing off with him, and just showing off just the little fun times that we had. And it's those little precious moments that we have to hold on to.
No, I agree, because my kid is, I think yours were probably out too, but mine were out for school this past week. And I was doing things at home that I would normally do without them being there, and one of them was I was working on my headlights and cleaning my car, and I guess she was bored, and my oldest daughter just kept coming out. So I said, "Look, all right, let me show you what I'm doing." Right? Not that she knows what I'm doing or she's not going to figure out, but she'll have that memory of like, I remember when my dad worked on the headlights and I got to help him, or he showed me how to do this. Yeah. And of course, you end up yelling at her, like, "What are you doing? Get out of the way. Don't touch that." But then to carry that point on, I made a promise to her, because, I took her out one day to Chick-fil-A because I was hungry and I didn't feel like cooking lunch. But then when we went to Chick-fil-A, she was like, "You haven't taken me to Waffle House in a while." I was like, "Oh, okay." And we do our Waffle House dates. And I've got photos from like Waffle House dates from when she was 6 months old.
Oh, so she remembers.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We would, before we moved to this house, we used to go almost like at least every 2 weeks. So then I was like, "Okay, well, let's go this Friday," right? Like I told her, it was a Wednesday. So let's go Friday. Man, when my wife came home, "Daddy's taking me to Waffle House on Friday." She woke up and was like, "Hey, we're doing Waffle House on Friday. Don't forget, Daddy." I'm like, "Oh, yep. All right,
yeah.
Waffle House on Friday." And then
it is locked in.
It was locked in. And then as Thursday was happening, like work and I don't usually get these many meetings. I was having meeting after meeting backed up. Ooh. And I'm sitting there like, okay, how am I going to make Waffle House work? And I have to make Waffle House work. Yes. So I'm like, okay. So finally I woke up at 8. Well, not woke up, but we got up about 7, get the youngest to daycare about 8, and then at like 8 o'clock, 7:45, I told my wife, like, "Okay, I'll bring the youngest to daycare. Let so and so know that we're going to go to Waffle House at 9:30." She's like, "9:30? I thought you were doing lunch." I was like, "I can't do lunch, but we're doing Waffle House." Like, I don't care.
No, you were adamant about getting the task done of actually hanging out with her, and that's so good, man, because we both know. I'm pretty sure every father out there knows when you push the effort of saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to totally be there," or "Yeah, we're going to go there, we're going to go," and like you said, you have to. But when you do not, man, it breaks their little hearts. And I've learned too many times for me, like the wife had to pull me aside, like, "Babe, I love you, but if you gonna say you're gonna do it, you need to do it, because that is their life." And in that moment, and it's like but just like you said, when you have so many different things and the task of work and dealing with different emotions and people and situations. It's like sometimes like all of us, we're like, what, hey, I'll do it tomorrow. Now realizing for them, they were sold on that day or that moment of hanging out with you.
It's tough, because I remember those days where it's like, no, tomorrow or later or another time.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it as well.
Yeah.
But I know there's certain things once you like, and I know like, okay, when I say this, then I gotta do it.
Yeah.
And there's been a few times where I've told them we'll do something that was kind of like a big deal to them, and then I knew like, oh, it's not going to happen. And I'll pull them down and say, look, I know we promised we do this, but we can't do it.
Yeah.
Let's try to do it another day. I'm not even going to say next day. I'll just say another
day. Yeah.
Because I don't want to build up another anticipation
Very
and
true.
then fail again.
Very true.
But those break my heart because I remember as a kid, and I know it's just a big deal to them, right? Now, granted, I grew up and you get better and all that, but it's like we were talking about earlier. I want my daughters, and I'm sure you're the same way, to marry somebody who's better than me, right? Like you want them to have that man. So you want to reflect to them what a good husband is, what a good father is. So when they get older, they look for that.
Exactly.
So hopefully there's some asshole out there that's better than me that can figure it out better than I did.
Exactly. But then you know dang well though, even if there is, and there probably will be someone better than you as far as for them to be with for the rest of their life, you're still going to have that little qualm like, well, that was my baby girl first, or you're going to always feel like she's going to, she's always going to love her daddy more than she love, and I get it. It's just weird when you get to that tier of passing on. Not passing on, but like just they're gonna move on and get older, like we did, obviously.
Yeah. So to go back to my resolution, my faux resolution that I'm trying to work on here is, I got to reset my mind, right? So like think about the scenarios that I might be in, or as a scenario comes up, and say, you know what, I could respond right now to my daughter, but I know my response is not productive, right? So I need to just walk away, let her be in her moment, and then come back with a different kind of point of view. Because I watched the video and it was specifically talking about work, but the guy's like, bosses who yell at employees, they're not productive. They don't have a good working environment, right? So and it kind of goes into that life. Like if you're yelling at your kids, like what it might temporarily accomplish something, but in the long goal it's not. You're not, they don't feel respected in a way. They feel like you're coming at them, and they might not take you as a serious person at that point because they're like, okay, this isn't the lovey cuddly daddy I know, like who's this monster yelling at me.
No, you're right. And it's funny you say that, bro, because believe it or not, people, I've been told many times that apparently I come off as intimidating. And for me, especially with my kiddos, I've learned over the years, you can't always just stand over someone or to them and talk to them. I had to learn to, if I'm trying to prove a point, get down on a knee, eye level, like, hey, kiddo, look, I understand how you feel, but hey, A, B, C, D, whatever the situation is. And that approach I've learned from me anyways, definitely helped with my son, because for him, he's very just so many different things, and he's learning obviously like what he can at 7 years old, but at the same time getting onto his level, it helps me to understand where he's coming from, and it helps him to realize that, okay, my dad is still my dad, and he's trying to see it from my point of view.
And he's the youngest too, right?
Yes, he's the youngest.
Do you find that the youngest has more like this like a little bit more sweeter, like because the oldest is kind of more like a little rougher.
Oh yeah,
and they'll always be like, "Daddy, I'm listening. Daddy, I didn't do that." Like, have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, but see, when you have three, bro, especially for me, anyways.
Yeah, three makes. I have two. Three might make it different.
Yeah, like with two girls and my son being the youngest, it's like the middle child, at least for me. He would try to play that, and then she's like, well, no, I was there. Da, 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 da. Like, now it's this, like, argument, investigative kind of situation. Yeah. But, like, it's gotten better so far.
That's the hardest thing, because mine are 3 and 6, so I feel like a detective sometimes. Like, all right, everybody sit down, be quiet. Let's go through this.
Where were you? Were you in your brother's room at 7 a.m.?
Yeah, and then the little one's like, my daddy, I'm listening. Like, I'm like, shut up.
It's like, Daddy, I have eye contact.
Yeah, like, it's like, all right, you psychopath. They're like, come on, now, we need to figure this out. So that's kind of gotten tough, because you got to remember, it's only a 3-year difference for me, and I think
3 years as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but that 3 years in the development of a child's mind is different. Like
Yes.
it's a different child.
It is.
So you really have to approach them differently.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that too, because not just approaching, but realizing that you're dealing with, for me, 3, and for you 2, different like mindsets. 3 literally,
Oh, yeah.
or 2 different
Personalities.
people personalities. Yeah. So it's like you can't approach one child like you will the other. It used to work when they were, like months. Like months old, or maybe 1 or 2 years old, that kind of thing. But as they get older, you're dealing with really personalities.
Yeah, because my 6-year-old's definitely like, getting into the kind of cartoons that the 3-year-old wouldn't be in, right? So like, things that highlight like hair and makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not that, trust me, not that I'd let her get into that stuff, but obviously, like if she sees my wife doing her hair, like she's more interested than the 3-year-old's going to be.
Yeah.
So then now you got this competing personalities in your house, and one's still kind of the baby mindset, and the other's like, okay, I'm starting to be a bigger kid, and I see bigger kids on the school bus, and now I want to be like them. And
Yeah.
so it's difficult.
And it's funny too. Like I said, going back to me with having 2 girls and a boy, I would be that guy. And for the other fathers out there, maybe you can agree, I would almost dang near complain about like, oh, well, why is, my son doing more girly stuff? Because, he has an older sister, or the middle child, that, he kind of, walks under and enjoys spending time with her. So then my wife pretty much had to, revamp it for me. Like, well, babe, spend more time with him. The more he's going to be with you, the more not manlier he's going to be, but just he's going to develop those things that you like. I'm like, you know what? As simple as it is, it's so effing true.
No, I agree, because being in a house full of women, right, the only guy, I want my kids to be independent and to an extent, right? So
Yeah.
like as they get older, hey, let me show you how to change brakes. Let me show you how to change the oil. Or change
Yes,
your tire.
yes.
Not because I don't want them to grow up and be like, oh, I'm an independent woman or anything, right? Which is
INDEP.
fine. But I want them to say, like, if they have somebody they can rely on, and they marry somebody or have a boyfriend that can help them do things, okay, great. But at the same time, I want them to be like, oh, well, my husband's busy, I'll just go change my own tire, right? Like,
Exactly.
I don't want them to feel trapped.
It's amazing how we're talking about this, because I think I saw a video where, and it's similar to what you're saying, but it's on this side about my son, where I guess a mom was saying, oh, I don't think you should teach boys to, have manners and open up the doors and stuff at a young age, because it's just going to be relevant when they're older. And I get her point, but for me, I think that the earlier you show your child, just what you think is, the right thing, whether it's manners, open up the door, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, it's not about how young, it's about just getting that already into you, because it's definitely a respectable thing, and it's something that is almost frowned upon nowadays.
No, I agree with you, because I remember growing up, I used to say sir, ma'am, yes, no, please, thank you, and all that.
Yeah.
And that was kind of driven into me.
Yeah.
But the responses as a child I would get from adults was amazing, right? Like I felt like,
yeah,
and it carried into my adulthood and my young career and all
Yeah.
that. So I do that with my daughters. Like I'm real strict about not so much saying sir, but the please and the thank you, and not like give me cereal. I'm like, excuse me, like what? I didn't hear what you said. Like you just spoke another language to me.
Yeah.
And then they have to reset and say, Daddy, may I please have some cereal?
That's
Oh,
good.
absolutely. Yeah,
That's
that's what you want.
And it's funny you say that too, because with my son, he's only 7, but the fact that he would open the door and like for not just us but other people as they're coming in, you can tell the different generations that appreciate it, because it's funny when you get like a grandma or like that old person that comes in. Oh, they let him know like, oh, thank you, baby, I appreciate you so much. You're a grown man. And he's like, thank you, and it's something that it helps him along the way, because you're not going to always get that, but it shows you that it is appreciated.
Well, I have a hard time with it sometimes too, and I let it go. But there's times when you hold the door open for somebody, and then they don't respond, and you're like, well, F you too, man. Like
this is why we don't do it no more.
What the heck? Like, but then you're like, no, that's not why you opened the door in the first place.
But it's funny. So you and I come from various backgrounds as well, and we've worked together. But for us, it's not only to open the door out of respect. It's also to be observant of what's going on in your surroundings too. So it's just so many different positives as to why you want to have those things like motivated or ingrained into you.
Yeah, I can't go. I keep my head on a swivel everywhere I go, and
Yeah.
that's a whole nother video. But
Yeah, a whole nother video.
But yeah, just to kind of recap here. So my New Year's, I'm taking the New Year's resolution serious in the sense of like I want to progress to be a better person,
Yes.
which I think should be done all the time, not just
Yes.
a specific time of the year.
Of course.
So I'm not tying it directly to New Year's, but 2024, I hope to just continue to try and be that better father for my kids. Right,
Yeah.
and if that's all I can accomplish, then I'll be better. But I want to add in, get in better shape, and of course, and be just not go to the gym and work out, but just be a little bit more healthy. I was
Yeah.
watching some home videos I had from like 10 years ago, and like, ooh, where did that mark go?
Like, where is this guy?
So that's just kind of me, and then of course with this podcast, it's the biggest push for 2024.
Yeah, and I'll say, just to chime in with what you're saying, the biggest thing I'm learning for myself, especially with resolutions, if you will, is just the word consistency. As long as you're consistent in something, you're going to see eventually those results, whether it's fitness, whether it's, learning a new language, or like we're talking about, taking the time with your child, of spending time with them more seriously. Just being consistent with something, you're going to eventually see those results. So for me, I think this year I just want to embrace the word consistency in whatever realms that I'm trying to pursue, and at the end of the year just see how consistent I really was with that.
So here's my plan for you watching, right? Your New Year's resolution for watching our videos is make sure you subscribe.
Yes,
Make sure you
please.
like
all of them.
and throw a
Just
comment in there.
please.
What's your New Year's resolutions? Do you follow New Year's resolutions? What are you doing this year? But
And advice, for the fathers that are watching, just, what is something that you've done that actually worked for you that you can kind of bestow upon us to make us better as fathers, or just
Throw it back at
scenarios.
us.
And please, because we are open to all opinions.
all right, y'all. We appreciate you tuning in. Take care and come back next time.
You got it, guys. Have a good one.